The quiet afternoon in Tai Po broke in an instant when smoke began rising from the Wang Fuk Court estate just before 3 p.m. What looked like a small ignition quickly latched onto the bamboo scaffolding wrapped around the buildings for renovation. Within minutes, the fire shot upward, climbing the exterior like a fuse and turning a single spark into a full-scale emergency. Flames raced from floor to floor with alarming speed, surprising residents who had only seconds to react. The heat intensified, the glow spread across the towers, and it became clear that this wasn't a routine incident. The blaze was growing faster than anyone expected. The speed of the fire shocked everyone. But the reason became clear almost immediately. The towers were wrapped in bamboo scaffolding, light, dry, and exposed. Once the flames reached it, the structure acted like a giant ladder, giving the fire a direct path up the building. Reports suggest the heat traveled through the interconnected poles, allowing the blaze to jump floors faster than firefighters could respond. Some experts have long warned that bamboo, while common in Hong Kong renovations, can turn dangerous when a spark hits the right spot. This incident showed exactly how quickly things can get out of control. As the flames climbed higher, burning debris began to fall, making the situation even more chaotic. Inside the towers, the danger hit before most people knew what was happening. Thick smoke rushed into hallways, turning once familiar corridors into dark, choking tunnels. Many residents, especially the elderly or those with limited mobility, struggled to move as the air grew hotter and harder to breathe. Some claimed the alarms didn't sound right away, leaving neighbors to shout warnings and bang on doors. Families grabbed what they could and tried to escape through stairwells already filling with smoke. Others found themselves trapped on higher floors, forced to stand at windows and call for help as the fire closed in. Chaos spread quickly. Parents carried children through blinding smoke. Residents covered their faces with towels, and people searched for any path downward that wasn't already blocked. Outside the estate, the scene was just as chaotic. People rushed out with whatever they could carry, small bags, documents, or nothing at all. Families scanned the crowds, hoping to spot loved ones who hadn't come down yet. One elderly man stood trembling in the street, insisting his wife was still inside, refusing to leave even as smoke covered the sky. Others waited in silence, staring up at the burning towers that had been their homes only minutes earlier. Some cried openly, others were frozen, unable to process how quickly everything had vanished. Every new siren, every shout from rescue teams made hearts drop, as nobody knew who was safe and who was still trapped. And while families braced for answers, firefighters were facing a battle that grew more dangerous by the minute. Rescue crews arrived within minutes, but the fire was already overwhelming the upper floors. More than 100 engines, ambulances, and support units flooded the district as authorities raised the alert to Hong Kong's highest level. Firefighters used ladder platforms to reach trapped residents, only to be forced back again and again by intense heat blasting off the building. Chunks of burning scaffolding collapsed without warning, sending flaming pieces onto nearby roads and forcing crews to constantly reposition just to stay safe. Every move was a risk. One wrong step, and falling debris could take out an entire team. Despite the danger, firefighters pushed forward, trying to break through the rising flames and smoke that wrapped around the towers like a shield. As the evening settled in, the scale of the tragedy became painfully clear. Reports confirmed that multiple residents had lost their lives, including a firefighter who went into the building trying to reach those trapped on higher floors. Dozens more were rushed to hospitals with severe smoke exposure and other injuries as medical teams fought to stabilize them. Nearly 700 people were evacuated and taken to temporary shelters, many arriving with nothing but the clothes they were wearing. Some were still in shock, staring at the burning towers they had called home for years. Others searched the crowds for missing relatives, hoping for any sign they were safe. The emotional weight of the disaster settled heavily over the district. Families clung to each other, neighbors shared what little they had, and volunteers moved quickly to help anyone who needed support. Once the immediate danger was under control, attention shifted to how such a devastating blaze spread so quickly. Questions surfaced about safety procedures, inspection routines, and whether residents had been fully protected during the renovation. Some people claimed the building's alarms didn't activate right away, while others pointed to the bamboo scaffolding as a major factor that allowed the flames to climb with almost no resistance. Authorities launched a full investigation, promising to review every detail, from construction materials to emergency readiness. Meanwhile, community centers filled with volunteers offering warm meals, water, blankets, and phone charging stations for the displaced. Charities opened hotlines for families searching for loved ones and arranged emergency support for those who had nowhere else to go. Amid all this, residents struggled to process the deeper fear. If this could happen here, what did it mean for other aging buildings undergoing similar renovations across the city? And as those questions lingered, the community braced for a long recovery that would challenge far more than just the damaged structures. When the smoke finally began to thin, the true aftermath came into focus. Entire blocks were left uninhabitable, families were scattered across shelters, and a community that once felt secure now faced a harsh new reality. Hong Kong, a city known for its towering buildings and dense living spaces, was suddenly confronting deep questions about safety standards and emergency readiness. Residents wondered how a small spark had turned into one of the district's most devastating incidents in years. Others asked whether the renovation materials, inspections, or response systems had played a role in how quickly the flames spread. Officials promised support, temporary housing, medical care, and long-term assistance, but emotional wounds would take far longer to heal. For many, the sight of their burning homes and the sound of collapsing scaffolding will stay with them long after the debris is cleared. And as Tai Po begins the long process of rebuilding, one hope remains. That the lessons learned from this tragedy will prevent anything like it from ever happening again.